Hello, beautiful people. Today, May 3rd, is the 1 year anniversary of the day that I found something weird and unexpected visitor under my armpit. So I was like taking a shower, shaving, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And because there was something like, this big that hadn't been there 2 days prior when I took a shower. And yeah, there it was. And it was for real. So I took a look at it in the mirror, and sure enough, it was really there. And I had my bro and AP check it out too. And yeah, he noticed it too. And thought it could be a swollen lymph node, hopefully, and or something. So then later after work, I checked it out online, did the WebMD thing, and I found out that it could have, in fact, been a swollen lymph node, but it could also have been a number of more harmful or fatal kinds of conditions, including breast cancer. So then I was like, oh, I should be more like this because at that time I had breasts, big ones. So I was like all feeling them up and like checking them out and squeezing them and everything. And lo and behold, there was a thing right here, a little kind of like maybe a little smaller than a pea sized lump right here that had definitely also not been there recently. Like I've never had a mammogram prior to that time. But I would check myself out, and I'm pretty aware of my body. I'm definitely more aware now than I was then. But so anyway, yeah, today marks that day, and I have a lot of feelings about it. I have come a long way, and I have a long way to go. But anyway, I'm kind of having some realizations about cyclical trauma, which I've realized before too. But say like yesterday, I had a really strange dream. I think I was like carrying a bunch of stuff between Mexico and my house, but it was just down the road. So I had all the stuff and I'm like carrying it or lugging it. And I even had like some poles and things. I had to get through doors and gateways. And anyway, I'm walking. It's not really that far, but there's my cat, Morpheus, who's been dead for like 11 or 12 years. And she's laying there on the ground and she's writhing. Like her stomach's like it's like a roiling figure eight, and it's like and it's all swollen, and it's not right, like something wrong is growing and moving in there. um and she was a chubby cat anyway, but this was different. The stomach was huge. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do something about that. I need to get back and check on her as soon as I take this load of stuff. I'll get her on the way back. But so anyway, then I woke up, and I realized that it was the 1 year anniversary of her death too, because I put her in the ground on, I can't remember if I had her put to sleep or if I put her in the ground on Beltane 11 or 12 years ago. Um, she was a good kitty. But anyway, thinking about things like that and just the growth. And then I was like, oh yeah, and for me, it's that day. And there was just this solar eclipse on Saturday, and I was diagnosed on a lunar eclipse. So anyway, there's all that. But I feel good, and just trying to figure out, where I'm going right now, besides planning for Sundance and just trying to figure out how to use technology because I'm not very good at it, and wanting to both embrace and continue to develop healing and spiritual healing. So I'm pretty grounded and practical in some ways, but also super woo woo, and I'm okay with that. I'll just even embrace the woo woo term. And I'm not a new ager, no, nothing to disparage the new agers, but I wouldn't classify myself like that. I'm more like an old ager. So I'm interested in a lot of older beliefs and older gods and older practices, and how they come in and coincide and mesh and twist and wind with the new, and how they can guide us in this moment. So for example, I do my best to keep a perpetual flame in honor of the goddess Vesta, the virgin of the flame from ancient Roman times. And through my connection with that, I really value the Roman style of religion, in which they they had a lot of gods of their own, and really appreciated the pantheon. They had many holidays. yay for holidays, and taking time to honor the spirits of the family and the ancestors and the gods family and the connections and the things that each one ruled over. And so, be it elemental or be it like, marital love or fire or um, roads or horses. There were holidays for every kind of thing. And I like that. And I also like that in their journeys of conquest, however we want to look at that. But even so, if they came to a new land and wanted to get tribute or conquer it in its way, they kind of let them do their own thing as long as they could gather their taxes or their resources. They did not try to impose their religion, but rather, if they saw, oh, hey, these people have a God for something that we didn't have before. And maybe if we also pray to and make offerings to that God, we could gain the benefits of such a thing. So I like that idea. I like to remember the old ones, kind of like remembering our relatives. And through that remembrance, especially for some of those who've long been forgotten, there's opportunity because some of them are just waiting to hear their name, just like some of our ancestors would not mind it if we said a prayer or, set out a glass of water, a glass of wine, or some cookies in offering to bless them and remember them. And then through that, perhaps we'll have a dream or perhaps we'll receive a guidance. And so that's sort of some of the things that I'm looking at on this day. I'm just going to call it good for now with that introduction and say that I will be figuring out how to podcast and make videos to interview other people who are very cool and interesting and have a variety of perspectives and experiences, especially relating to menopause and women's mysteries and the transition between the mother and the crone phase, which I found out there's even another phase in there, which I'm in right now. And so in some ways of looking at it, there is no name, like it just goes mother crone. So you're fertile and all this, and then you're old. But in fact, there's like this whole thing that goes on in between there. And it can even go on for many, 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 many years. And there's a lot changing, and there's a lot coming down, and a lot coming up, and a lot going out, and a lot coming in. And so I saw in this tarot deck that was down at the Pachamama retreat in Costa Rica, where I recently was, they had a tarot deck for like a goddess tarot, and they represented not three, but four stages of a woman's life, which included the maiden, the mother, the enchantress, and the crone. So I like that. And then I was looking it up to verify, did I really see that? Was that really a thing? And I found out that in fact, there's another system that labels these life stages as the maiden, the mother, the wild woman, yeah, and the wise woman. So thinking about this as a wild time, we're kind of a wild card in this moment with all these things. So that's called hot flash, and that's something that I'll be doing with my friends, with my ladies, and we're all having a very interesting time of this. Some of us with cancer and menopause and pandemic and all the life changes and midlife crisis, all of it happening at once. It's like, what is mine and what belongs to the universe? And what's hormonal and what's cancer and what's pandemic and what's everybody else's stuff out there and what's my own stuff. So these are I don't know, for me, big topics that I'm thinking about a lot. And then my other space to explore is the Temple of Vesta. And so that's where I'll be talking about some of this fire goddessy, old magic ways of keeping an altar in your home and connecting to yourself and your spirit. Or I'm not going to tell anybody how to do. I might share what I do and share some ideas and maybe some recipes and some different kinds of incense or just different ways of keeping the altar. And then speaking of recipes, I have another space that I'm exploring. It's called Dharmageddon Well. So my name is Dharma. I'm getting well, but I used to have a MySpace called Dharmageddon, you know, like with Armageddon. I thought that was a pretty cool name, so I wanted to keep it. And then since I've been really focused on my wellness, my healing, um, it occurred to me that this is a good opportunity to share some things that I have learned either because it was passed on to me, or I picked it up in a book, or I was gifted by the spirit, or I made a mistake and I learned something, or I was just doing an experiment, especially in the kitchen. I really like to experiment in there, and most of my experiments are pretty successful. So I'll be sharing some recipes and lifestyle things. Like I have a great online Mysore Ashtanga yoga instructor who helps me out. I've got a lot of friends who are in healing and magic and wellness and spiritually and to support different life stages, nutritionists. So I want to share a lot of these resources so everybody can be getting well, not just Dharma getting well. So those are some of my thoughts. I thank you for listening and wish you a super blessed day.